Yo, ladies and gentlemen, man, in the building right now, man, we're talking to one of the forefathers of hip hop, one of the dudes who gets it done, and they still out there kicking ass and taking names. They got a brand new project out right now called "What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down," and we got the front man right here, Chuck D, a Public Enemy, in the building. What's going on, brother?
Hey, good morning, and thank you for having me be with y'all, man. So thanks a lot, Headkrack.
Yo, man, peace and love, man. The crazy thing is, like, you probably run into so many people and say, hey, you know, I was inspired by everything you did. But, like, the crazy thing about you, Chuck, like, one time I was in a battle in D.C. It was for this event that Rap Pages had threw together. And I lost, but I won. And you pulled me to the side. You told me that. You know what I mean? Because, like, at first I felt a certain way about it, man. But, like, you pulling me to the side and talking to me, like, told me, like, word. I'm just gonna keep on pushing and doing my thing. So I know you have encounters like this all the time, but just know, man, like, you know, even just touching the hem of one's garment sometimes, you know, goes a long way with people, man. So thank you for still inspiring and, you know, encouraging people after all this time.
Well, thank you. You know, if I'm able to, then I'm able to. I think that, and you know, this is also how I use social media, Headkrack. You know, a lot of the times, you know, people want to damn it, but you know, it goes both ways. You can do something good on it. So every time I go on it, I might see somebody doing something. I retweet it, especially Twitter is the main thing I do. Retweet it, I illuminate it, and say, hey, man, I love that, man. Keep going. And just a little, everybody can help somebody somewhere, man. It's at any time. As easy as it is to tear somebody down, may take just a little bit more effort to bring somebody up, but not that much more. To say, hey, man, yo, I appreciate your work. And, you know, nobody really has to kind of like dig in their pocket, man, you know, and spend their lunch money on it. They could be like, yo, man, salute, boom, you know, and just give a thumbs up, like a smile, spread it around. I mean, it's the least that we could do, right?
Yeah, it takes very little energy to, you know, shed love. It takes even more energy to tear something down. And you've built something amazing with Public Enemy, like something that people could believe in. The logo's iconic. The music stands on its own. You know, going all the way from 1987's Yo Bum Rush the Show to here we are in 2020, still getting new music. And if you and the crazy thing is, like, sometimes people have no idea that Public Enemy has still been dropping music all this time, and I've bought them all. Like, not streamed them, I've actually bought them all. You know what I mean? Because the music still matters. So here you are back on the, you know, the label that started it all, Def Jam, a place that at one point in time it seemed like you would never go there again because, you know, y'all had words, you know, at one point or another.
It was a different Def Jam. It was a different setting. I mean, Russell and Lior sold Def Jam at the turn of the century. Before, it was just a matter of where they was. Corporate music at that particular time would limit you. There was no such thing as the internet, so it would limit you from doing things and constrict the genre and constrict you from doing things unless you brought a lot of money to the table. And I just didn't think that we were going to be good in those systems. So we decided to do this thing called the internet back in 1999, and here we all are, right? So this was a perfect time when Flavor says, all right, I've been doing the internet independent for 20 years. Yo, dog, I want to do something big. You know, Flavor's a star, man. So I said, you know what? We paved that road. It makes sense. More than the major, man, what do you think about Def Jam? And that's where we settled on that. So I do a lot of independent things. I do a lot of things that I paved the road in digital world and all that. But I think that in all fairness, you know, when I said and Flavor said Def Jam is where this record would be, you know, I think that was the perfect setting. And not just to say we putting out a record. It's like we bringing light to the genre, bringing light to the energy and the young movement that wanted to go truth to power. I mean, they went right up in their hometown and said, take down that old statue, man, that's derogatory, man. They activated this year. You have to pay attention to that as an old head. And also you make a path. I mean, today, I'd rather spend the time talking about Paris Arrested Development and Nappy Roots also releasing their music today, because this is a selfless, or music and culture could be a selfless venture, man. It all comes back to you. If you say back in the day, I pulled you to the side and said, listen, man, you know, they might have took the battle, but you went in the war, bro. I mean, look how long you remembered that and how much it added to you. Well, things have been added to me too by somebody else to say, yo, go ahead, bro, do your thing, man. So each one teach one. Good karma gets around. We know bad karma spreads quick, but you know we could work on good karma, man. And that's when Public Enemy releases a thing. It's not about me going like, yeah, support me. Please support the genre, and just know that we here to shine light on you.
I mean, the space that we're in right now, it is easy to support everybody. You don't have to physically
Yeah,
go to a record store. The whole
right.
store is on your phone. So, yo, give these records some spins. And, you know, you talk about people encouraging and bigging people up. Like, who lifts Chuck D up when Chuck is
Well,
down, you know?
well, I come from parents that were amazing, man. My dad was amazing. I'm a chip off the block. So he had taught me, and my parents had taught me, when you see light, you see people, you know what I do, I listen more than I talk. And everybody don't know that about me because they don't know me. If they knew me, they say, well, he don't really talk a lot, but if you ask him a question, I'm able to deliver. And especially at my age, if I can't teach, I shouldn't open my mouth to speak. But I listen, I watch, I learn, you know, I express myself in artistic ways, but I listen and I watch. So I'm uplifted from anybody at any particular time. I tell you a case, an example, you know, every time I run into Stevie Wonder, Headkrack,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got nothing to say, man. I'd be like, yo, I don't know what to say, man. It's like, and so, hey, Chuck, what's up, man? Do fight the power, man. Elvis. I'm like, hey. He's like, are you there, Chuck? I'm here. I'm here. I don't know what to say to this day. Every time I run into Stevie Wonder, man, crickets, bro. Because I don't know where to start. I'm like, I'm so whatever, thrown away. I don't know where to start. So I listen and just like, you know, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So we all have that, right?
Yeah.
We all have.
Yo, it's amazing, man. And like, you know, even like when you look at the family dynamic that is Public Enemy, man, because it's just not you on the mic. It's also Flavor Flav backing you up. It's
Yeah,
also DJ Lord on the ones and twos, man. You know,
yeah.
it's also
Then
S1Ws doing.
S1W, you got Grip, you got Terminator X, who also contributed on this record. You got, you know, the band, Kyrie Wynn, the guitarist, man, the greatest hip hop guitarist, you know, of all time, I think. And, you know, Davey DMX, a Rock Roll Hall of Famer on the bass, man. So, you know, down to, you know, our crew, our light people and all that. So in this particular album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, it's like I blew the doors off and just brought everybody in the room, man. And so, and it wasn't one of these things like, let's get down, put a record together and get all these collab and features going. It didn't happen like that. These things are already in motion, and then a couple things got added to it, just that made it seem like that. Like when Questlove put together the Fight the Power
Yeah,
Remix 2020. It's like Nas, Rhapsody, Black Thought, YG, Jahi. Yo, that's just like boom, like wow. And that already added to what me and Primo and Flavor was doing on State of the Union. So with Primo, you know, and then Ice-T and PMD from a record that we did kind of like before we started off. And so it is ended up like boom. And then I reached out to Uncle George Clinton, and he blessed us with his funkosophy and his futuristic vision. But then, you know, me and Be Real was with Prophets of Rage and Sin Dog and stuff like that. So that was automatic. And then I reached out to Run and DMC and Mike D and Ad Rock for me to salute them on. They saluted me on my 60th birthday,
yeah,
which is rare air for an MC that you hit, you know, the 6-0. Ice-T is there, Wonder Mike is there, and I think I think I was the third or fourth to come up as an MC.
Can we rewind it back for a second? So on the record, Public Enemy #1.
How far you want to go back? Noah's Ark.
Well, talking about that song, like, it baffles me that historically there was never a Public Enemy, Run DMC, Beastie Boys song together. And to
You
hear
couldn't
it,
do collabs back in the day.
so was it because of label issues and
Yeah, the first collab that really took place with multi-labels is when we did Burn Hollywood Burn. And that was us, Cube, and Big Daddy Kane. Kane was with Warner. Ice Cube was with Priority, which was whole, Capital distributed and stuff like that. And you had to physically have people to go in and break those contracts in order for y'all to leave your labels. Because the bottom line, they say, cool, Kane's going, he with Warner. We don't want him over there with Sony. And or yo, Cube is over here. So who's gonna own the master? That was like one of those type of things. But we was able to figure that out. And that's the first time rap or hip hop artists came from different labels to be on one particular record, other than like Self-Destruction, where you got different clearances. But to be on an artist's song, we had to break that ice. So big up to Big Daddy Kane and also the Cubester.
Well, listening to Public Enemy #1 now, it sounds just as good as I would imagine it possibly would have sounded back then. DMC is in his pocket. He's talking about his alcohol abuse, running in his bag, you in your bag. Ad Rock and MC
Mike D.
Mike D.
Mike D. Yeah.
In a bag, Flavor Flav. I thought he was gonna do your whole first verse, but then he do some flavorisms in there. It sounded. I stayed up to midnight to listen to the album, Chuck. I had to wait for it to drop, and then even to reach out to Daddy O for Stetsasonic for yesterday, man. Talk about the importance and the significance of a song like that.
Well, number one, Daddy O, man. See, he's my brother in all this. His subsidiary label is under my label, Spit Slam Record Label Group. Me, big up to C-Doc, who's my label partner, also producer that tied this record together. But Daddy O has released 5 albums in the last 3 years, and he's trying to tell everybody, like, this is how OG should operate in the digital, in the new world. Don't look back, do your thing, and just keep roasting, man. I mean, Daddy O could take a little piece of what a Tekashi 6ix9ine is doing or what a Logic is doing, but add to his thing. Because he knows that the cast that's going to come in and listen to his thing might not be open to maybe somebody that's doing a different thing, but they know what he's going to do, and he knows when he's going a little bit too far and where he got to lay back. So, he'd be nailing it. So a big up to Daddy O, because he just released his 5th album in 3 years, and it's called The Goat Antidote. And when you hear Daddy O, you're like, yo, man, this dude, man. So some of my inspiration off of Daddy O, I go and make a phone call to Run and just say, Run, just do Run. Just do what you feel free, and just go. Don't think about, this, don't think about that, don't think about appeal. You run. So you already had like, a million MCs try to copy you throughout the years. So just be you. And he felt that, yo, man, this is good. This is good. I'm like, yeah, and I think that Public Enemy #1, when I first made it, and that's not me being funny, but I tried to make a record that my girlfriend hated.
Okay.
So,
and it was't Sophisticated, bitch. That wasn't the record.
No. See, no, the record that I tried, it was like, what the hell is that? Turn it off, that type of thing. Because I'm like, you know what? Is this made for the dance floor? No. It's made to get in a pickup truck and drive it through a Dollar Tree window. That's the activity that comes out of it. So that's always the dissonance that I hear in my head. So I always thought that this could be the hardest track ever, because it would scare people away. And to hear like DMC and Run on it, because they Run, DMC, mainly Jay and MCA of the Beasties, swirled that tape of Public Enemy #1 for about 2 years. That's why Rick Rubin had pursued me for 2 years. I
Really?
think I'm the only MC that actually was scouted and hunted down for 2 years because I kept saying no. Because we wanted to make it a radio. I didn't want to do records. I was already 26 at the time. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not trying to do records. I'm trying to do something bigger with my guys. We trying to be a hip hop radio syndicated network. But there's saying that in 1984, cats is like looking and scratching, like, what? So I'm like, all right, we'll surrender. We'll just make records now. And that's how we agreed.
Well, I'm glad y'all did what y'all did, because this music continues to feed people, and no matter what year it is, the songs still matter. Like Fight the Power, whether you remixed it or not, it still matters. Burn Hollywood Burn, it still matters. These things are still going on. 911 is still a joke in some places.
Yeah.
And and when you look at the dynamics, when you've been with somebody for a long time, you have your disagreements, you have your fallouts. I've watched you and Flavor Flav not talk for a while, piece it up, get back together. Next thing you know, you're on tour. Same thing with Griff. But at the end of the day, y'all always come back to the table. What would you say is the hardest part about being a part of a dynamic that's been together for so long? And
the hardest part is everybody don't get along as well as you get along with everybody. So I might get along with everybody, but everybody don't really get along with each other. And that's what happens when you get into numbers of 15, 20, 25, 30 people.
Right.
And sometimes those dynamics, I've learned to say, you know what, they're going to have to work itself out. Where before I would be like, oh, kumbaya, let's get to the peace pipe table and stuff like that. And cats is like, I love you, man. And I got love for him, but that type of stuff. So it's the inside dynamic. And I'm the dude, like I'm a cold loyalist, man. I'm never gonna let anybody's inside come on the outside. You never heard me say anything that was going on the inside to go on the outside. But it's all love, it's all family, just like a house, man. Everybody's room is gonna be made up different. It's like Public Enemy is a house. So sometimes I might open the door in somebody's room and like, okay, boom, you do what you do, but to keep the house kind of not burning down, it's you got to do it with love. You can't do it with going around like, dude, this is my house. So sometimes I'm a little embarrassed about getting attention, man, because I'm a quiet dude. I like to talk when I'm asked questions. When somebody asks me a question, I'm like, oh God, I'm going to talk, but most likely I'm going to listen more than I talk.
I can dig it. Now, I was like, catching a Vlad TV interview, and Flavor Flav was like talking about a lot of things. And one of the things he mentioned that he was supposed to have Chris Rock's part in New Jack City. And, and he said some of the members of the group, talk them out of casting him for the part. Now, what should your take and stance on that?
I don't get involved in none of this. I hope everybody in their personal spaces do well in their personal spaces, and they got to live with that. So I don't get involved with everybody's personal thing. I wish that Flavor would have got that role, but if you got something where you got to show up at 10, you show up at 12, you ain't going to get that role. It ain't going to be me. You know what I'm saying? Or, so everybody when makes their road, makes their bed, and I encourage them to, that's the road and the bed that they got to lay and live with. And you hope that everybody perseveres. And when we come together, it's like, okay, we come together, we roll out in a truck, but when the truck stops at a depot, then everybody got to go back to their own spot with their own story and what they break back. So that's just what it is. So, I mean, hell, when Flavor did reality TV, I'm like, well, thank God you got a job outside this. So you ain't got to be like, yo, let's go to Thailand. So I got to go to Thailand because you need to go work. But me, I got other things I got to do too. So we come together, and this should be the asset when we come together. Indeed. It can't be the asset when we all do in our lives. For example, when I lay down at night, I'm not looking at his wife in the face. So, and you know what I'm saying? So you got to answer that, bro, over there. You got to figure that out. So I'm saying, you know.
Totally understood. And like, when you look at the long running history of Public Enemy, nobody, I think, in hip hop is, and even regular music, has figured out how to keep themselves afloat as long as you guys have. I mean, like, whether you guys had an album out or not, you guys seemingly always was on tour. I know everything slowed down now because of COVID.
Yeah, nah, yeah, you're right. Everything it got to a point where you're always on tour, you're making records, and only thing you can do about that is you got to learn from other acts. You got to learn from the history of other acts. What was wear and tear? What wore this part out? Those are the things I always study because no story is new. The gadgets might be new, but the stories and the human dynamic have probably happened before. So I've read a lot of stories. I've seen, now today people see biopics or they see like, they might go and see Unsung or something like that, and they get an idea of what these things are like beyond the music and all the oh yeah, we went out for 4 years and we never came home, and I came back home and saw my son, he had a beard this big, and like, oh, so I'm saying that you got to learn from these stories, and you got to talk to OGs, and you got to figure out what your road is going to be. So yeah, we perfected the craft of that being of get together, being on the road. But I think the best thing about Public Enemy is I think if the many parts that make it up have its own success on its own, it'll be great. It's unfortunately it's not like Wu-Tang, who have the pleasure and they have the Wu-Tang has the ability to split out into killer bees, and each one of them have a curriculum. They MCs. So if Ghostface plugs in and Jizza plugs in, when they plug out, Jizza, plugs out into his own universe to get down,
Right.
and Ghostface plugs out into his own universe, and Raekwon. But even if they swirl out there, okay, Raekwon tour is happening, and all of us, and it kind of intersected with Jizza's, so they end up kind of like being together for a night as a surprise, and they venture off. That's a good thing. With us, it's like it's really like it's no other MCs. It's me and really and Jahi, who came along and who's also featured on a bunch of different things. He's in the camp. So it's like kind of me.
He got down on Public Enemy Radio, the project,
yeah,
a few months back. He got down.
He's from Cleveland originally, 20-year MC, man. 17th album has come out. He's with Bob Marley label for a second now. He's on my label. He's what you call, he's a workcraft MC, man. He's 20-year career that people like, I don't know, I don't even heard of him. But he's a dude that, rolls up the sleeve, blue collar. He's like you, man. You've been a 20-year MC, man. You roll up the sleeves, you drop the bucket, you go to work, and cats that get it, and cats that don't will get it. You know what I'm saying? And if you come wrong and sideways, you'll get it. So you get it?
Yo, man, there's so many things we can talk about. I know you got 1,000 interviews, so let me try to move quickly through some of this, man. We're, election year. It's a lot going on. We got some bad news, previously about the Breonna Taylor verdict and the FBI, some things. What do you say to everything that's going on right now? Because, you have these industries that are, once again, they're finding positive rap or, positive music being profitable and marketable again. So you're starting to see that vested interest again. But there's also a need for it at this time. So what do you say to all that's happening right now and the timing of everything?
You're correct. I don't know if they finding it profitable or marketable again. I don't think they know what they're doing. I mean, what is a stream? A stream is radio play. I don't think nobody knows what that does to anybody. I think what they realize, and this is an important thing to say, using the word twice again, is that with Def Jam, with Public Enemy, I think one of the conversations that was lingering around that I raised is like, not speaking for me, but at what point in the culture do we consider importance great or greater than popularity. And if you go and check out Bob Dylan, his work, he's already had 500 books written about his music and whatnot. And if you go to like Sony, right, and they got a whole floor for that type of stuff, especially Bob Dylan. If you go in that floor and thinking about taking the tape, man, you might not make it out that building before they call the police, because that's how they guard that. Now, does Bob Dylan do music that rises up charts and stuff like that sells bundles like Justin Bieber? No, but they render that this is important. This is like almost like stock with them. So that's what Def Jam had the conversation. Having a Public Enemy and the LL Cool J is just important, and so importance ranks high. So I think that's where maybe the value system comes in. You can't really quantize that, but you can't really quantize importance anyway. And I think what we have right now is I've said it before, we have a teachable moment and a reachable moment. And so with all this stuff going on and chaos and people being boxed in and told what to do, the authorities are telling you to stay inside for 30 days to 60 days, and everybody's not sure about what is what. I think what hip hop and culture and music could do, it can inform, it can open you up, but it also could do it in a soothing way, because nothing's gonna be quicker than social media. Once upon a time, a song used to get ahead of the game because nothing out there was speaking on our behalf. So the news was slow, if not at all, right? But a song could jump up out there and spark people. But that was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. Today, everybody's recording. We got recording artists, but everybody's recording. Before, you had to go into a studio, go in there with your man and cut whatever. Today, Cass is recording with their gadgets, everybody, from the child to the elderly. Yep. And now, not only can I record, I could put it out there instantly. So opinions and point of views are passed and quicker than the music. So with all this going on, back to the original question, I think they're being dealt with and answered to, but maybe not always in a musical way, maybe not always in an artistic way. Opinion, is uppercase, lowercase, pictures, memes, and everything coming at the same time. So the powers that be recognize this. That's why the question is like, what you gonna do when the grid goes down? It's not saying you hoping for the grid goes down, because we all be in trouble. We wouldn't be doing this or whatever.
At all.
But it's beware government tricks. And government's tricks, meaning that plural. Each and every government feels that they lose power if the civilians and the people talk and they say, we're not listening to government. And going into 40 days or less into the presidential election, confusion, misinformation is rampant.
Yeah.
People will reduce that to saying fake news. Okay, what is fake news? Is fake news here? Because they both saying it's fake news. When I said don't believe the hype, wrote the record 33 years ago, it was to challenge information, not to don't believe anything. You got to believe something, but you got to challenge information. And this is the last point I'm saying on this. With all this going around, the reason that why we can't disrespect scholars, right? And you hear a lot of people talk about, man, you ain't got to go to college and learn that education in order to make it. We're not talking about making it. But I'm saying it's hard to disrespect scholars. Well, I read too. The difference between a scholar and a regular person is that a scholar got to read the stuff that they don't want to read. You know what I'm saying?
To know it all. Right.
We read what we like. We read what we dig. Mm-hmm. And we what we don't dig, we like, I ain't reading that. They got to read and comprehend and do it fast most of the BS that they don't believe and that they don't like Dr. John Hendrik Clark. Dr. John Hendrik Clark read everything till he was blind, man. You couldn't challenge him because he read the bullshit, you know what I'm saying? He read that and he read and he weighed it. He logicized it, and he said, all right, this is what could lean towards a belief. So with all this misinformation out there, people lack the skill in the netizen age to challenge information. And when you challenge information, you just can't put hashtag facts.
Right.
Why is it a fact to you?
Still gotta look it up.
and weighed against what? What is your scholarship? And this is why we at least got to like, okay, we ain't got to believe the scholar, but we can't just say the scholar is irrelevant. So there is scholarship in people that do things every day that we don't pay attention to because people don't go shake it to their lights. You know, you got people in politics, they do ugly jobs every damn day. 18 hours sometimes. And it's like, what do you do? Well, all of a sudden we zone off this area, then zone this in, and we're able to bring this to this neighborhood and all that. And if they talk to you for like 45 minutes, you like nodding off. You know what I'm saying? They not entertainers, man. They not celebrities. They're like, yo, man, I work 8 hours. I do some stuff that literally, man, I'm trying to catch a break by a weekend. It's 40 hours that will put you to sleep.
Absolutely.
But it's necessary to our society, man. We in a good spot to the point where we could get people to look like they shake into the lights and bring it in a fly way. But you can't do that in every aspect of life. There's some things that's going to be like hitting you like, yo, man, I'm trying to comprehend this, man. I just can't get it. Yeah, because it's not.
You're going to have to zero in on it and like, it's not going to be as exciting as some of the other things that you know you're attracted to.
Like I said, the law, a lot of the law is really seriously unexciting and boring. Even if a person is getting booked and you in a courtroom and they going through like all this stuff, it's like, yo, man, just let me know, man, am I innocent or guilty or what, man? Because all that stuff before is like tuned out. Like, I don't even know what they're talking about.
It sounds Shakespearean to the to the uninformed. If you don't know these words in the lingo and the jargon, like, man, listen.
And that's scholarship, bro. That's scholarship. You got to respect the scholarship. You ain't got to like it. You ain't even got to say that they right, but you got to respect that they spent time combing through the bullshit, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then combing through the stuff that they want to project. And you gotta, if they projecting something that's foul, disrespectful, disagreeable, you gotta have the aplomb and the skill to stop that. Yeah. And if you don't have that, then it just runs rampant. That's why you need a collective that might find somebody. Oh yeah, my man. Yo, yo, dude over there, man. Yeah, nobody knows him. People don't even know nothing about him. He's quiet all the time. Matter of fact, it's hard for him to get a date. But we need that, bro, right there. I'll get him a date. Yo, bro, come on, man. Let's do this, man. And that kind of unravel that, you know what I'm saying?
It's the alchemy of personalities, too, because I think, even when you look at the dynamics of what makes Public Enemy, like, Griff was the minister of information,
right.
what you brought to the table, Flav balanced it out with the fun stuff, and we need these people to make society continue to stay afloat.
Exactly, man.
This current two-party system, which we're pretty much nailed to the cross on, what do you think it'll take for that to change?
That's ugly, man. That's one of the ugly things about this system, the eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right? Because even when you look at how Bernie Sanders was so ahead of everything that all of a sudden out of the blue, there was a huddle, they hit turbo, and now Biden's the guy, right? And, and it seems like the third party candidates never get the same media support as everybody else because the media is so controlled by the other two. And, you almost always get stuck picking the lesser two evils.
Yeah, that has been a major issue. That's why at the beginning of the year, and I was criticized for this, to be at the Bernie Sanders rally. I wasn't looking at Bernie Sanders as a presidential candidate. I was looking at him as the Democratic, whatever. The dude's 79 years old, seriously. A dude's 79, Biden 78, and Trump 76, man. They can't be telling young energy anything.
Right.
But what I was using that as a platform to say, there got to be an alternative to that eeny, meeny, miny, mo. and I like the dude's principles. I'm talking about his principles. I got an 81-year-old mother, and I have a 1-year-old granddaughter, and healthcare got to cover them both, because if it doesn't cover them both, who you think got to pay for their healthcare?
Right.
Yo, I mean, how far does that stretch where I got to take care of everybody's healthcare? My daughter works. She works with me. Who takes care of child care? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she a single mother, you know, but also with the father there. It's like, yo, a community got to figure this out. It's not exciting. So I would make a statement there. Green Party, I supported with Cynthia McKinney and Rosa Clemente in 2007, 2008. But the primitive game of numbers makes you say, if you use your mind in this area right here, and that area is totally like cut down or cut off from everybody else to understand it, then mathematics is going to play in. More is going to win over there, or they're going to get this electoral vote. So it's so confusing to the average person, man. When you go to a place like France, and they got like 8 candidates on election day, and they all up there, and they kind of like go up there when you go vote, because you see names like, wow, I didn't know they in the mix too. And you find out on voting day, is like, oh, I didn't even know they were running. You know? But they didn't, you know, they wasn't getting no light, no publicity, no money behind them. Yeah. So that's what the average young person coming into their 20s is saying, is like, yo, man, all this is BS, man, because like, yo, man, it's like, I got this dude here versus this dude there. I don't dig any of them.
Yeah.
But right now, this is not time for micro differences, Headkrack.
I know we got to zero in on the 2 options we have, and then
zero in on the one, because I tell people like this, and I've been straight up with it, man. It's not about choices. This is like, listen, it's the side you on. If you're a person of color or black, just being plain simple, the side you on versus the side that says they hate you. And the reason that they hate you, they say you don't matter. Your lives don't matter. And they telling you that it don't matter. And when you got the head goon at the top telling you that when you say that your lives matter, because to me, Black Lives Matter is bigger than an organization.
Facts.
I mean, you could go to NAACP in an urban league, and they were Black Lives Matter because there was a structure going up and that basically said, we don't matter at all. So they're saying when you have a situation, white supremacy said that you don't matter at all, you goddamn right, Black Lives Matter. And that's the statement, that's the movement, that's the message. And the other situation said you don't matter. And you don't matter as much if you probably don't matter at all because you're a terrorist. Mm-hmm. So how could you even in your mind, when you got any, meeny, miny, mo, if somebody directly said, I hate you and you don't matter. You ain't got time to figure out like, yeah, but you know what? This other side, they not saying it, but somewhere in the cracks, so you don't even have time to pontificate, bro.
Yeah, and shenanigans of it all, though, Chuck, is the fact that, like, you know, a lot of people will vote against their own best interest over minor things, you know, things like abortion, things like religion, and, like, these people know how to play those tricks and games and pull at the strings, and the people that fall prey to it the most, it seems, are, like, the elderly, you know, a lot of times, you know, like, know how to gas them and game them with just those 1 or 2 little hot button things, and they end up voting against their best interests.
Yeah, well, you know, we're on the, you got to recognize fascism, but if you don't recognize, if you can't define what fascism is, although it comes in shiny new faces, but they got the same old smell to it. Mm-hmm. But you can't pick up the aroma, but you know it don't really smell cool. But it got a shiny face to it. Look at that dude that ran over the protesters in Charlottesville some years ago. Yeah, kid was 20 years old, right? Where does he get in his head that quote unquote, you know, we just a bunch of niggas? Where does he get what fuels up in his head? Like this dude Kyle Rittenhouse going around, he shoots 2 protesters. The powers that be was like, well, you know, he was defending his rights. It's like, what swells up in the head? this is why this is a difference between 1990 and 2020, because people are born and people die. The same people that was in the mix back then, a lot of them ain't in the mix. Right. New people are in the mix. So that's why you can't say, damn, haven't we gone through this before? In many cases, people are like, nah, I ain't been through that. I don't even know anything about 1989. I was born in 1996, and I'm 24 years old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's real. Math is real, bro.
Yeah, for real, for real. Because, like, you know, people have such a revisionist level of history. Yeah. Like, if they were born after a certain time, anything before they're being born, it never happened. And with all this information and research that we have the ability to do, most people don't do any of it. So this is all.
But you got to also, one thing, you're a realist, and you know that's what's going to happen, and you know it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. And you could go into the sciences, and that's a whole nother story, another show, another 5 hours. But once you know that this is the human nature responding to these machinery like that, you got to just figure out ways to go around it, say what you got to say, help out, you know, try to cut through some of the clouds, you know, like lungs got to find and fight their way to try to get some oxygen through the smoke. We have a smoke-filled society, man, and a lot of the smoke is toxic. It's not good smoke. So I'm just saying that with this, I feel a lot of times those that have the ability sometimes to see clearly, sometimes they might feel a little selfish because there's a person that can't see clearly. So your time next to this person, because you could see, like, that's all right. Trump could get in there. I could live through that. I'm a vegan. I could figure this out. I can grow seeds. Boom, boom, boom. I already got my seed. I've been self-educating and I've been doing the thing at the crib. Cool. You're one of the ones who are a soldier for the future, and we love your blueprint. But the masses of us are not, and will die. Yeah. And will die. Elderly or whatever, man. And you know what? And it comes out. It's just it's the miseducation of our people that has been a slow unraveling, and then a fast acceleration towards death. And that's why when the COVID popped out, of course they're going to say, like, well, the ones that's going to seem like they're going to go quicker on COVID is those that seem like they're on the edges anyway. Well, damn, you know, I mean, in our way in this country, we've been kind of told that these are the ways that we should be. Or better yet, Popeyes have a chicken sandwich on sale that everybody needs to check out. And everybody feels that they got to go for it when everybody probably ain't qualified to tackle something like that.
Yeah, your organs ain't built for it. You don't
get well, some organs are built for a minute.
Right.
But for the long run, if somebody's on the edges, he might be 54 years old on the edges of diabetes or whatever. That sandwich might take you out. Right. If you're 21 years old, man, you keeping it moving, you skateboarding in the streets and doing somersaults, your body's gonna knock that sandwich out. So these educations are out there. I feel that sometimes that those that know should be able to share what they know, but also allow that you're gonna get some clapback and resistance, but also be like, okay, I feel you. You know, those negotiations might have been easier back in the day when we were able to look each other face to face, because the human warmth that we have towards each other, even in an argument, is love. Through the gadgets, I think we got to kind of get to that point. It's kind of love and digital hate all dancing around, man. Right. So we ain't at that point where we have netiquette. You know what netiquette is? Netiquette is etiquette as a netizen. We've seen the final transfer from citizens over into netizens, and the speed of it too quick for how our human being can handle. So these are deep sciences that come out in the wash of somebody be like, you know, I'm not feeling you today, Headkrack. And you be like, well, you would feel me if I had the time to tell you, but I don't have the time to tell you right now.
Yeah, it looks like we're slowly going to have to figure out how to get there if this continues for much longer, because
that's what life is.
Yeah, you know, adaptation and just figuring out how to survive the times. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you're such a wealth of information and conversation. I could do this all day.
Yeah.
What
Well,
you,
one day we will do it all day, man.
I'm looking forward to it, brother. You based where nowadays?
I'm based in the world.
As you should be, man. Like
East, west, north, and south, man.
I read it to somebody one day. It's like, yeah, like Chuck D used to live next door to me. I'm like, really? In that state? You know, in my head,
Yeah.
even though I know you're a world citizen, you will always live in Long Island. You know,
Yes, I
Long
will.
Island in my
I
head.
will. I am a Long Islander.
That's
Yep.
what's up.
Still there.
Well,
Roosevelt.
the album is called "What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down." I want to run through something real quick, man. It's a lightning round. Yo, Chuck D, what is the last thing you Googled?
Last thing I Googled was a Zoom address I had to get for an interview.
Boom. If the grid went down, who in Public Enemy, S1Ws included, would survive the longest?
I think Griff has the ability to survive in the desert, man, eating through rocks. But then again, he's a super vegan, so I don't know if a muskrat ran by him, would he kill it and eat it for survival? So I don't know.
He could tell you how it's like closely related to swine, and I just don't think he would.
Yeah.
Griff is an interesting guy to talk to, man, because like
Very.
it's a lot of information and you're receiving it all at one time, and like you can feel your brain cells expanding, but
Yeah.
it also gets stressful because it's like, yo, I really enjoyed eating this until I talked to him about it. Now I feel away, you know. I love Griff.
And then he'll smile at you and laugh because he's got that boyish 5th grade charm and stuff. And then yeah, right. And then he'll roll out, what you call a hot computer on you. So yeah.
Yo, man, love Griff. All right, during a Public Enemy family beef, who always reaches out first?
Well, we have Sister Paulette, who's a good connector with everybody. Public Enemy family beef. I'm the lightning rod.
Okay.
for better or worse.
You'll reach out first.
Try to.
Okay.
I like trying to put everybody in the same room, but sometimes the room is tight.
Yo, you have a catalog that is so deep, so expansive, and I've seen your shows. Your cardio is incredible, Chuck. But what is the hardest song for you to perform live?
A hard song for me to perform is usually the newest song. Once I tackle something. Look, being a part of Prophets of Rage for 4 years, doing Zach De La Rocha and Rage Against the Machine songs.
Mm-hmm.
Guerrilla Radio became a pleasure after getting that down, but it's like when beats are going 116, 120 minute beats per minute, we have a saying like, either you do the songs or the song's gonna do you. And the older you get, you got to do those songs, man. And you can't be like sitting on a bench, kind of like standing still. You got to move. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people don't know. It's like, nah, man. It's like I'm moving, I'm punching. This is like punk at 120 beats per minute. So the more the beats per minute go up, makes it more of a difficult scale because you're not there doing Frank Sinatra. You're not, so you're going at it. You gotta go at the songs, or the songs will do you. The songs are actually dangerous once you get into the high beat per minute. It's really hot, and you didn't go out there hydrated or didn't go out there in shape. I look at people all the time. I said, man, you do 3 of these songs, man, you're gonna sit down. I'm used to doing it. I know when to actually get the air pockets, when to lay back, when to go at it, when to actually move, when to pass off. But you know what? If you go in a song and you don't start it off right and don't pace yourself, you could kind of get hurt the older you get, because you're like, your heart going this way, you going that way, and your air ain't coming in right. And then if you're in a spot where it's smoke filled, one thing that, I'm not even talking about weed, but back in the day.
In general, yeah, like I hate being in a smoky venue, just even as a patron, it's just hard to breathe for me.
Right. So imagine back like in the 80s and 90s, you were in the Prague, Czech Republic, and everybody's smoking square cigarettes. And that's the air that you got to take in, rapping a fast speed, man. That's not going to be. One time I did a tour, I came back and it felt like my lungs collapsed because I was in Europe and all the smoky clubs. I don't smoke. came back, had fresh Atlanta air, and all of a sudden my lungs was like, whoa.
What is this? Yo,
Yeah.
I swear, we did a show in Germany one time, and I swear there was a chick in the crowd that had a cigarette in each hand.
Yep.
And it's like, what are y'all doing? Okay.
Yep.
Chuck D, what are the hardest dudes in rap? What is the last thing that made you cry?
It has something usually to do with happy things with my kids.
That's what's up.
Especially my grown daughter whose birthday is this weekend. She runs my company. It's gonna be 32. That would make me cry right now.
Okay.
I'll give you another short story, right?
Okay.
I had this conversation with my man Kobe Cole from Philadelphia, and I was reminiscing on the time in '88 we play in the Philadelphia Spectrum. It's 20,000 people. We playing with Ron, Will, and Jeff, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, EPMD. So EPMD comes off, Public Enemy get ready to come on. They raise our banner. A large contingent of the crowd stood up and put their fists in the air, man, like it was the anthem.
Mm-hmm.
That always touches me, man.
That is a beautiful thing when your music connects on that level. Now, when Chuck D wants to laugh, what show are you watching?
NBA on TNT, man, with EJ, Shaq. I was on there last night with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith.
Mm-hmm. Always the sports.
They ridiculous.
And if people are real Public Enemy fans, they hear the sports references, throughout the albums. You'll drop one or two, per album, or maybe a year or so ago, you won't hear them. But like, always a sports fan. So
I did. He Got Game. My best lyrical lines and my best MC performances, I think I was 38 when He Got Game, and I thought that was like my prime time rhyming.
Yo, what's the game if the game ain't saying nothing? You know what I mean? Like, yo, yeah. I was working as an intern I was on a Def Jam street team when the He Got Game soundtrack dropped. And it was a lot of bangers on there, man. The joint you had, I think Killer Priest, you had a record on there with Master Killer.
Yeah.
Yo, a lot of bangers on there, man. Love is love. Also notoriously, you're a guru who has given many a rapper their names, so they say. They say you named Busta Rhymes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's just say if I came to you as a new artist, Chuck, what name would you give me?
You got a pretty good name, man. But there was a name at the same time I named Buster off of football halfback, right? We played with Nebraska, college football. I told Taheem, I said, you should be Busta Rhymes. And cats looking at me with this, screw face, like, I'm feeling that. Buster thanks me every day for it. There was another running back for Oklahoma at the same time. Mm-hmm. His name was I Am Hip. His middle initial M, and his last name HIPP. I was like, I couldn't find another MC. You should be I Am Hip. But I couldn't find that MC, man. But I found Buster, so that was half of the deal, man. And they both was at the same time. One dude for Nebraska, the other dude for Oklahoma. I Am Hip and Busta Rhymes. And go figure, right? I got Sway coming up right about now, Headkrack.
I don't want to hold you up. Tell my brother Sway, Headkrack said peace. Chuck D,
sure will.
I love you so much, man. Thank you for continuing to, contribute to the culture, man. 2 albums in less than 12 months. Come on now. Like, your work ethic is phenomenal. The new album is out right now called What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down. Cop it. Public Enemy still #1. Peace and love, baby.
Thanks you, Headkrack. Let me know wherever I could do, man, to help you in your tremendous, fantastic art.